episode of the Freelancers Mindset Shortcast. It's so good that you're here with us. And I'm so jealous of you guys because you get to listen firsthand to Alifia. Alifia is our guest for today, and she's also the Chief Everything Officer of Sky for a Palette, which is a homegrown stationery and lifestyle brand that was born out of Alifia's lifelong passion. She loves painting and creating ever since she can remember, like be it art pieces, DIY projects, decorating corners of her room. She's done it all. And she also has this huge goal of, designing beautiful, inspirational, heartful, thoughtfully designed pieces that bring comfort and joy to people. That's the mission behind her brand, and I have personally purchased a lot from Sky for a palette. I use them almost every day, and let me tell you, they are the most mindful pieces I've ever used. Love them. So, hey, Alifia, welcome to the call.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction. And I'm just really glad to be here.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time. I mean, I can see that you're a really, really busy founder of your brand. You're the chief everything officer, as you said. So let's start
Yeah.
right there. Did you start Sky for a Palette before joining any corporate company, or did you directly come into this, or do you have other experience? How did it all begin?
Right. So I have an academic background of design. I have an academic background of interior design, and I have worked in that field for almost 3 years.
Mhm.
It's not that this was not, I would just say this was a very luck by chance kind of
Okay.
decision that I made to do this. And like at the inception of Sky for a Palette as not as a brand but more of an Instagram page was back in 2021, which I
Mhm.
just made to show my artworks and kind of put my art out there. There was no plan or goal as such to kind of evolve it into like a proper lifestyle brand, but this just happened because of some inspiration that struck me 2 years ago, and then I decided to kind of pursue it full time. So it's not that I did not like my interior design background, or I did not like, and I just had to leave. Those moments where like I'm tired of corporate now. I want to do something. It was not like
Mhm.
that, but I think this was something which was more of a calling for me than interior design.
That's so cool. So, at what point did you decide to go from an Instagram page to showcase your work to something that you're doing full time? Like, what was that getting the first client moment like?
Precisely in December 2023. Up till then, it was purely Sky for a Palette was purely an art Instagram art page. And while I was in the middle of switching my interior design jobs, I because it was December, it was festive season, Christmas season. So I
Mm-hmm.
just happened to design a few postcards, and I thought, let me just put them online. I did not expect anything out of it. It was just out of pure joy of making something. I put them up on Instagram, and surprisingly it took off very well. And I got in that span of one and a half months, I got around 10 to 15 orders, and I was shook because I have no, it's not like I have like a clientele or I have a lot of following, but then that kind of sparked that ki, acha, if I can do this with a small product, do I think I can make it into a full-time thing, and would people want to buy it? And that is how that spark of kind of converting or evolving this into a full-time lifestyle brand began. That like December 2023 was my marking moment,
Mm-hmm.
and after that is when I uh, decided. I mean, there were a lot of ups and downs then also, because I was constantly in that dilemma of whether I should be doing it. It's a big, even though it's still in the field of design, it's still a very big career change for someone like
Mm-hmm.
me. So all that dilemma, all that thinking whether to do it, whether it'll be worth it, all
Mm-hmm.
of that spiral that keeps happening in every
Yeah.
creative person's mind. So all of that I went in the that happened in the first few months of 2024, and then I spoke to my family, I spoke to a couple of my very close friends, and everyone said that, why not give it a try? I always have the option of going back to my
Mm-hmm.
earlier field. So that
Right.
is how the entire thing is.
That's so
And
cool.
now there's no looking back.
That's
It's been a
actually
year
so
and a
cool.
half.
I know, time flies. It's like I really love your journey because I think when December comes again, it'll be 2 years of Sky for a palette. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah, it will
awesome. I think
be.
like anybody can get into the game, but those who stick it out and continue for so many years, that I have serious respect for them because I know how difficult it is.
Consistency with all, I mean, something that it was a very simple post, but I saw a post where it said that, it is easy to start, but
Hmm.
when you have those really low moments and very, moments where there are no orders or there is a lot of creative spiral and you have like a creative block, all those are like the defining moments that
Hmm.
really shape your, business career, because that is when you know that is those are the moments that really test you. Okay, is
Mm-hmm.
this worth going ahead? Do we really need to uh, go forward or just stop? And all of those moments are
Yeah.
very important in shaping your entire business story.
Definitely. And I also, okay, so the main reason why I wanted you on the podcast, the moment when I had bought your products and then I felt, okay, I want to have Alifia on my podcast, the exact moment was how your selling was very iterative. It was not a rigid
Mm.
system. You were
Mm.
listening to the customer and you made so many changes. For example, when I was purchasing your product, I said, hey, the shipping seems really high. It seems to be around, I think, 150 rupees for shipping itself. And you
100,
told
huh?
me I can't reduce the shipping, but what about I add a few free bookmarks for you that are worth
Mm.
100 rupees? And that was
Mm.
like, that's it. Okay, great. Let's make the purchase for me. Similarly, somebody else had told you you had this amazing Tuscan Fields notebook, and people were saying the pages are very thick. It seems to be a sketchbook related material, and they wanted a dot grid notebook for journaling. And a few months later,
Mm.
you actually came out with a dot grid journal as well. So it's not rigid. At that moment I felt you have really understood the game. You know how to make the customer feel like a winner without compromising on yourself. So, how
Yeah.
important do you think this balance is, and how did you learn this game, honestly?
I think, I mean, it's not something that you can learn. It just comes with experience and it comes with every experience. Like
Mm-hmm.
before our conversation, maybe I might not have thought ki acha we can mold our offering in this way also. But it always comes with an experience and one-on-one. That is why I think earlier on when you're just starting, it is very important, and I think it very good for your brand as well, or your
Mm-hmm.
small business. It's very important that you have some kind of a one-on-one connection or one-on-one conversation with your customers, because then that gives you a better idea as to what their requirement is, because ultimately
Yeah.
I'm a product based brand. So
Hmm.
I need my customers to be happy, because if they're not happy, they're not going to buy my product. So I think as far as you are able to not compromise, like you said, not compromise on your offering and not compromise on your business, and still
Mm-hmm.
be able to offer something which will, sustain a customer or make them feel like they've something that they've taken. So I think that is a balance that comes with every experience. It's not a standard ke, this is the norm that has to be followed, or this is the same offering that will go to every customer. But as the conversation happens with each customer is how it will keep changing. But in that also, it's always important to have a boundary, because there
Hmm.
are customers who will could take advantage
Yeah.
of that, and they would want to kind of really negotiate on the pricing, or
Hmm.
really downgrade your pricing or product. So it is very important to kind of have that boundary and have that little understanding of the customer who you are speaking to. So it's not
Definitely.
like it comes with experience, and it is something
Yeah.
that happens on ground only. No one can teach you all of that.
For
That
sure.
human connection is something that comes as in when you meet people, as in when you speak to more people. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that is uh, one of the upper sides of a founder-led brand, because in the
Hmm.
beginning, because you're a founder and you are building everything from scratch, you are, of course, in the initial years, you're doing everything on your own. So that gives you
Mm-hmm.
a much better idea about of
Yeah.
everything, your
You make the
customers.
decisions.
Yeah, I make the decisions, and I speak to everyone personally. I reply to all the DMs. So I think that gives you a much better idea. And then all the feedback and all the um things that people like, all the feedback that people give is how we can then make our products better and our service better.
100%. I think that is kind as in when you're speaking to me, I think this is both the boon and bane of social media. Because
Yeah.
earlier I used to find all of these online stores, especially Amazon, Myntra. I used to go find the product, there's a price there. I would add it to cart, check out, that's it. If I have a problem with that, I just don't buy it. But now that
Hmm.
social media is here and such small homegrown brands that are coming up, and I know I'm talking to the founder, I can just go on
Hmm.
social media, I can find them, I can send them a text. So the good side is you get to have so much feedback, you get to see the testimonials, you get to learn and connect with people so much. But the negative is
Yeah.
people take advantage of it. They are like, hey, I saw this price. Could you give me an exclusive discount that I can add?
Yeah.
So I think that's the boon
Yeah.
and bane of social
Oh,
media coming in.
yeah, that's why it's important to filter. I mean, earlier when you are starting, and because you want to get an order, you do tend to
Hmm.
fall into taking a decision कि chalo, at least I'm getting an order. It's okay if I
Yeah.
have to reduce my price, but then that becomes an expectation from
Hmm.
customers, which you don't want to have in the long run. You don't want customers to come. But if you do that for one customer, that expectation is set कि chalo, this brand will give me a discount. I'm
Hmm.
I'm not saying don't give a discount, but it is very important to filter and make it work. It's not that, it shouldn't be that in the because you want to get an order, you downsize your price, and then
Yeah.
your business is not working out, because ultimately it
Hmm.
is a balance. You want to keep your customers happy, but you also want to make a profit. That is why you're doing a
Yeah.
business. So that
Exactly.
balance is important.
So true. And I think this is where the main conversation we had comes in about, are you an artist or a business owner? Which the
Yeah.
second you said that, I felt like, oh my God, that's a very good question. Because I like to call myself a writer, but if I go only by my art and talent alone, I can't sustain for 3 years. So that's why the business owner side comes in. You have to make compromises, you have to respect yourself. So much comes in. So, how did that realization come for you where you have coined this statement?
That was very so again, this was also a very uh defining moment that happened. This was early, like I think last year sometime around June, July, when I was just in the beginning of launching my first products. Like, we've already evolved Sky for the Palette as a proper brand, and we are in the middle of launching the new products. And the artist side of me was, I mean, I'm a creative professional plus a perfectionist. So,
Okay.
so that I feel is a very deadly combination, because when you are doing something, when you're creating something, you want it to be the way you have imagined it
Hmm.
on paper as well as on the product. So that sometimes might not work well. It might not always go well, and that is what happened, because one of our product that I was launching, it looked really nice on, in my mind, and when design was very nice, but when it went into production, because it is a paper material, there are some errors or something that happen. It's more than natural for any errors like these to happen. So I kept stuck to it so long that we had to keep reiterating, we had to keep reprinting, and it was a loss on the
Hmm.
vendor side. It was a loss of time and efforts and energy on my side. And eventually, after a couple of months, that vendor also stopped working with me. So that
Oh.
was a very that was a realization ke, it's not that you have to compromise on your art, but at some level you have to let go. You have to let the, little errors that happen, you have to let go of them, because otherwise, if you keep stuck to all of those perfect design, perfect production, perfect, if you keep focusing too much on that, then the other aspect, which is the main business aspect of you
Hmm.
doing all of this, gets lost. And
Yeah.
then it's like your products are also not getting sold, and uh, you're not making progress in your business aspect. So I think
Hmm.
that was like a very defining moment, especially after the vendor stopped
Right.
responding to my messages, and I was like, okay, maybe I was a little too harsh. Maybe I need to start
Mm-hmm.
letting go a little and not make a compromise on the products, but uh, kind of keep uh, making it better as and when, and not getting
Right.
stuck on little things that maybe a
Hmm.
lot of people not even know from an
Hmm.
artist. Because I've designed, I can see, okay, this is maybe a little 0.1% error that has happened, but it
Mm-hmm.
does not work. It's not something that anyone is
Yeah.
going to notice apart from me. So it's
Hmm.
okay to let that
Mm-hmm.
go.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the point where I realized this thing was after I launched my book. And
Hmm.
like any creator, I was like, okay, my book is going to sell itself, but it didn't. I had to do a
Yeah.
lot of work. And then my
Yeah.
publisher told me, we are going to send a few copies of your book to influencers so that they can review it for you. And all the
Hmm.
copies I'll be giving them are for free. And that was a point where I was like, I have to give my book for free. How much loss would that? That was something I just could not
Yeah.
accept. And again, when I went to a few schools to give speeches and workshops and everything. At the end of
Hmm.
which the students were really interested to buy my book, but my book is slightly on the expensive side. So they again were
Hmm.
asking me for student discounts, and I got really like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, but okay, fine. And I gave them a very drastic discount. So almost
Yeah.
50% I gave a discount, and many people did purchase it, but all the way home I was like, I lost 50% of my
Yeah.
income. But
I
as the
know.
months went by, I realized, okay, at the end of the day, my book has reached these people, and I shouldn't value
Yeah.
it by price alone. It should also be how many people are
Yeah.
impacted by it and stuff. So that was a
Definitely. I
big
mean,
realization for me.
there are a lot of different verticals, like the example that also gave, the one that I also gave. This is just one of the things that uh, that kind of define or bifurcate between whether you're an artist or whether you're a business owner. Again, each task requires you to be an artist or be a
Hmm.
business owner. Like when you are writing your book or I'm making my product, I have to be creative, so I have to let my
Hmm.
uh, artist side or your writer side shine. But when it comes to selling, when it comes to grabbing customers, when it comes to social media, then that is when your business acumen has to shine. And
Yeah.
I think every task that you have as a business owner, as a creative, requires you to balance both.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's never, I don't think it's ever 50-50. You're a 50%
Hmm.
artist and you're a 50%. It always
Yeah.
keeps varying according to each task that you have at hand. It keeps
Hmm.
varying, and you have to
Yeah.
have that knack, and you have to kind of learn how to do that. And again,
Hmm.
that also comes with as and when each task or each experience comes at your table.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And
Yeah.
I think another place where this is reflected is I have seen you, as you said, Chief Everything Officer. I have seen you doing all the reels on your page. I have seen you sharing posts on this broadcast channel on Instagram. I have seen you engaging with so much content. You're responding to all the DMs. You're also handling operations, speaking to the vendors, handling accounts and finances, showing up at pop-up stalls and doing in-person sales. You're also making the designs fundamentally and figuring out how to sell all those. You're doing everything. And I think the most important part is you might not enjoy doing a lot of these things, but the work needs to get done, so you do it. So, how do you balance all these different facets? What do you enjoy doing the most, and what do you do because work has to get done?
Okay, so I mean, as a creative, of course, when I'm churning out new designs is what I really enjoy. But something apart from being really liking design, I really like organizational work. So when it comes to updating my Google Sheets or updating my orders or organizing my files, even though it is a very monotonous or mundane task, I really enjoy that. But coming to your question about juggling
Balancing.
all the other facets of the business, I mean, touchwood, I've been really blessed with a really supportive bunch of people around me. I mean, my friends, my family, and everyone in at some point of time has helped me with whatever I need. Like one of my very close friend helped me build my website. He helped me do the entire GST registration whenever I'm getting
Hmm.
any, whenever we are restocking the products. My mom always makes sure to sit with me and pack everything. When I'm getting bulk orders, she sits with me to pack everything. My brother is there to help me with all the photo shoots and do all the BTS videos. Of course, my friends are always there to hype me up. My dad is there to always give me insights on how to do a business, how to keep track of my profits, all of that. So, uh, even though on social media it seems like I'm doing it alone, there's always a bunch of people who are there behind, who are helping me in other tasks. I like to call them my unpaid interns. But
Okay.
yeah, till I hire someone as part of our team. These are my unpaid interns who help me in
Oh,
any way and every way that they can. So
that's
yeah,
so
I mean,
cool.
it's difficult to even though there are a lot all the tasks have to be overlooked by me. It can get exhausting, but it's also very fulfilling at the end of the day. I mean, of course,
Hmm.
with time, I do want to expand my team. I do want to hire people who can help me with social media, who can help me with um, logistics, admin work, etc. But for now, while I'm doing it, I don't think I have any complaints. At the end of
Hmm.
the day, it's very fulfilling. The work is happening. I'm getting a good response, so I'm really grateful for all of that.
Awesome. I'm really happy for that. Actually, for
Yeah.
me, something I really enjoy doing is creating content, especially after I've read so many books. I love sitting down and shooting video reviews of it. But I hate editing. I can sit and write a 1,000 word blog, check it again and again, and proofread it and edit it. But I
Hmm.
cannot look at the same video, even if it's a 30-second video, I cannot sit and edit it. So what I did is I tried to, there are things I don't like and things I like. I tried to eliminate as many things that I don't like. So I trained myself to become a one take artist who can speak for
Yeah.
continuous 1 minute and I don't need
Yeah.
any cuts. So I just sit down, I hit record and I just do the entire review and then I click
Hmm.
post. I have no need for edits over there. If there's any background noise, I don't care. It's natural. So I just tried to
Yeah.
remove that entire segment. There was one point where I didn't have the patience to keep changing my outfit every time I record a new video. So I just sat down. If I'm wearing this outfit,
Yeah.
I record 5 reviews in bulk and then I change my t-shirt and I record another three or four.
Yeah.
And then I just mix and match all these videos
Wow.
and I post it. So these things that
Yeah.
I don't like
Wow.
doing, this is the lazy way out to still win the game.
Yeah. You have to work out a smart way to do things
Hmm.
that you don't like instead of procrastinating and not doing at all.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you have to be smart with it.
Definitely. And speaking of which, here is one question that a lot of people keep asking me that I myself don't know the answer to. How do you find opportunities? Because you attend a lot of events, you put up a lot of
Hmm.
pop-up stalls, and you're part of so many different initiatives. How do
Hmm.
you find? Many people tell me, like, I have a friend who makes scented candles, and she tells me, I don't even know that such an event is happening here. I don't even know what keyword to search on Instagram. I don't even
Hmm.
know that these big companies, like I think your products are available at Fictionary bookstore. People
Yeah.
don't even know that they are taking in collaborations or how to even apply if they find out. So, how do you
Hmm.
find these opportunities and how did it all happen for you?
Uh, I mean, there is no set way to do it. I mean, for me also, I find all of them through Instagram, not specifically by searching keywords, which is actually a very good way to do it now because Instagram has that feature of, searching things via keywords. So you can always type, pop-up stalls in XYZ, like
Hmm.
if I'm in Mumbai, so pop-up stalls in Mumbai, and there will be some related posts that will show up because people use hashtag, because people use keywords. So for me specifically, all the events that I have participated, I have always known it via somewhere. Like I attended one event is how I reached. I became friends with one of the people there. From there, I got to know about the others. So it's all, I mean, one thing, it's more of a domino effect, and it's also
Hmm.
how
Word
much,
of
like
mouth.
the pages you have, word of mouth, the pages you follow. Sometimes when you participate in one pop-up, for example, there are a lot of other pop-ups who like you have put up this. I think it's just a matter of attending of finding your first pop-up, and then you always keep. And then when you also search on Instagram about such events, etc., happening, you always tend to get more of those suggestions because of the algorithm. Like if you come across come across an event, just DM them that, I'd love to be a part. Could you share me the details? Or even an event that has already happened, you can always be like, hey, I would love to be part of your next event. Do share the details with me. Pop-up I did at Fictionary was because I follow the page, so I know about it. My
Hmm.
first ever pop-up that I did was with a book club based in Mumbai called the Paperback Talks. They
Oh,
were
cool.
doing an event in last year in December. So I reached out, okay, listen, I want to be part. I'm also a business owner. I want to be part. So then they have their process of how you can apply, etc., etc. So just
Hmm.
keep your eyes open and keep typing in those words, and Instagram will by itself keep showing you opportunities.
Definitely. I think that's what happened to me when I started as a freelancer, where I was
Mm.
looking for a lot of events to network with people.
Yes.
And to a certain extent, that helped. I found a lot of different things like the Chennai Freelancers Club. I found Freelancer Fridays, a few specifically for women, some online clubs. I found a lot. But what helped
Mm.
for me even more than that was every time I get one opportunity, I so for I this is totally different to what you're doing. Since I am giving speeches and workshops in places, I go to
Mm.
these schools and colleges and they tell me we don't have a budget for this, we won't be able to pay you for the speech you're giving. So I tell them,
Mm.
okay, this speech is completely free, but at the end of this session, I want you to give me all the photos you took of me so that I can use it for my personal brand. I need
Yeah.
testimonials from at least 5 to 10 of your students, and I need
Mm.
you to refer me to any one other person. So if
Mm.
there's another school or college that you have a connection to the HOD or the
Yeah.
principal, I would like you to
Yeah.
refer me to them and also pass on their number to me so that the chain keeps going on.
Yeah.
And some people
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
so sweet, they give me two contacts. And
Yeah, yeah. So
speak with my
it's just a
directors.
matter of networking and being around people who you can
Yeah,
connect with, who are in the same, who can help you in any, like even if it's like in any way, if someone can help you with your business, then why not? So I
exactly.
think word of mouth and like that.
Definitely. So every time I finish one event, I already know what's the next event I'm going to do, at least an
Yeah.
idea of it. So I think that's
Yeah.
a very motivating thing when you're doing the long game. So my
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
question to you before I let you go.
Hmm.
What's next in the pipeline? I think right now, beyond Sky for a Palette, you're also making customized wedding invites. And I think for a brand, you had made the
Yeah.
entire welcome kit with a tote bag,
Yeah.
water
Yeah.
bottle, notebooks. It was
Yeah.
so fun looking at all of that
Yeah.
on your Insta stories. So, what's next in the pipeline? Are you doing those under Sky for a Palette or entirely a personal brand? What's cooking?
So all the, I mean, the wedding invites and all the design related projects is something that I not specifically doing under Sky for a Palette because those are more design oriented projects. So they are under my personal brand. But anything related to products is something that I am definitely going to do under Sky for a Palette. What is next in the pipeline is, I mean, we are launching our 2026 calendar soon. I also plan to launch a Christmas collection. I also plan to launch, hopefully, some other 2026 products like planners and,
Hmm.
things that you can use stationery related. So yeah, in the immediate future, that is what is there in our pipeline. And of course, as and when inspiration strikes, I want to keep adding products to our collection so that a lot of people can enjoy and have a slice of Sky for a palette at their homes.
For sure. That sounds like a really nice idea, and I am kind of worried for my wallet, but yes, thank you for that. So thank you so much, Alifia, for all of your
Thank
time.
you.
I've gotten all of my questions answered, and I hope all of you watching have also got it answered. I am leaving all of Alifia's links, especially Sky for a Palette, down in the description so that you can check out her products and reach out for any enquiries. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you, Alifia, for being part of this.
Thank you so much. It was great. Even when we spoke on the call for the first time, it was really nice speaking to you. You are a very, I would say, cheerful person and a very ambitious person who has a lot of, I'm sure, a lot of things going on for you as well in the future. So, all the best to you as well for everything that you want to do. And hopefully, we'll collaborate again soon. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much
much.
for
Thanks so
inviting me
much.
over.
For sure. Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.